talked about this a million times before, but when it's a wind-driven fire, there's virtually nothing that the firefighters can do. It's laying down a little bit.
Yep.
In some parts.
In some parts, and we've been talking to people out there where they said at times the firemen just sit there and monitor it because there's nothing they can really do.
Yeah.
All right, here are the current conditions. Now, overnight last night, and the more you get into the purple areas, the stronger the winds. Last night, overnight, and even early this morning, most of that map was either dark red or purple, so the winds are dying down a little bit. Doesn't look like it very much here, but I've got some recent wind speeds. Chesborough 30 with gusts up to 52. In Malibu, still strong winds in that area, 38 with gusts reaching up to 52 miles an hour. Here's an interesting one, though. Camp 9 in San Gabriel Mountains, 34 with gusts, 66. And overnight, they had gusts up to 77 miles per hour. Simi Valley, 22 with gusts up to 32 miles per hour. And it was up in the San Gabriel Mountains that are having the highest winds right now, 34 with gusts up to 66. But we have died down a little bit. Now, if we could put this map in motion, you will see that this is going to be moving out very quickly by tonight. Okay, here it is, 7:30 this morning. And look, by 11, 12, 2 o'clock this afternoon, still strong winds, 10 to 20 miles an hour, possibly reaching up to 30. But by later on tonight, overnight tonight, that said, we will still have an offshore flow. But it'll be nothing like what we had last night. So as long as they can get some sort of handle on things right now, we will be in better shape by as early as this afternoon. High wind warning, that continues until 6 o'clock tonight. And that is all the areas in the orange. And we do have a high wind advisory. That's on until 3 o'clock. Those areas might be expanded into a warning, or also the 3 o'clock might be extended too. But definitely most of the winds by later on tonight will be dying down. Excuse me, extremely low humidity. That's another problem, and temperatures will be warming up with those Santa Ana winds blowing, and every now and then you see what are those sort of fire storms themselves, and they're almost like fire tornadoes. Inside a fire tornado, the temperature can reach up to 2,000 degrees, and they typically last just a minute or two, and they're typically maybe about 15 to 20 feet high, but they can move along very quick. They can uproot trees. And like I said, the temperature can reach up to 2,000 degrees. So.
Yeah, we saw that picture from Chris Burrows earlier of the Toyota Camry, where it had literally melted.
Exactly.
The metal had turned molten and was running down the street. And you know, you realize how hot these fires burn.
That's exactly it. And once you get into those kind of situations, as you said, there's very little that even the firemen can do, firefighters. So that's the latest. Smoke is going up a little bit higher and not laying flat. So the winds are starting to cooperate, but it's still very windy conditions.
All right, Mark, thank you. We want to get to Eric's film in. There's help from the sky as far as water dropping, super scoopers out there helping out with the firefight. Eric.
Yeah, well, we want to show you just a few. We're along the 101 here, right near Chesborough, between Chesborough, Liberty Canyon area, between Agoura Hills and Calabasas. Just a second ago, we saw a welcome sight. We want to show you the video of the super scoopers coming in. They are leased by Los Angeles County for use during what we used to call the fire season. Seems to last forever now. But they're here now and taking part in scooping up water from reservoirs and lakes and dumping it here on the flames. North side of the 101 freeway is where we saw both of those planes on loan from Quebec, coming through and making a water drop here and attacking the fire that was close to a school on the other side, on the north side of the freeway here. The fire's burned across the freeway. We've got a lot of residents in this area who are here kind of watching what it's doing. Let's come on over here and talk to Joe. Good morning to you.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm okay. How are you is the question.
Stressed.
Are you?
Very much so.
Mother has a home back in that area somewhere in Liberty Canyon?
Yeah, she's a longtime Liberty Canyon resident. Lived there for 42 years.
And so you're just keeping an eye on things?
Just kind of checking it out. Yeah, she's on a vacation right now, so if it got dire, I was just going to go grab a few important items and get out.
You've seen fires come through here over the years?
Yes, several times.
Anything like this? Did you see how the wind was pushing this along earlier this morning?
It was pretty intense. I was out here at several hours, and when it really picked up, you could see the flames kicking up several hundred feet, especially on that ridge right up there. But now it seems to have pushed over, and we should be pretty safe, I'm hoping.
But the pathway for a fire like this is to burn from here all the way to the ocean. You've seen that happen before.
Seen it happen several times, yeah. And once it gets going, there's nothing that's stopping it. It's going to do what it's going to do until it kind of burns itself out, and these guys do their thing to keep it under control, hopefully.
What's happening in the neighborhood where your mother lives? Do you know? Did people stay behind, or?
A few people stayed. A lot have gotten out. The power went out kind of early. My sister was actually there helping out with my nephew, and I think about 3:30 is when they decided they were going to take off and head into the valley. So, yeah.
Where are people staying?
They actually were just hanging out in the Target parking lot.
Really?
Up to Soho, yeah, waiting to hear any news about if it's okay to come back in a little bit. I don't know if they're going to be able to get in. I'm sure it's still closed and nobody will be able to get in, but yeah.
I'm just amazed at how quickly it traveled here.
It was quite incredible. Just from the time it came up over here, and you were over. You had told me you were over at Chesbro. We were here watching. The fire came through, and all of a sudden, a huge plume just ignited on the hillside over the freeway, and that's when everything just came through. It seemed like within a minute. It was fast.
It really was remarkable. All right. Thanks for talking to us. Good luck to you.
Thank you. All right.
Yeah, it really was amazing how quickly it traveled. The fire has now blown past us, if you will. I mean, when we first came here, it was all on the north side of the 101 freeway, burning towards Chesbro Road. It just blew all the way past to the other side and has now traveled several miles, I would say, as it heads towards Malibu Creek State Park and ultimately, possibly, if the winds keep pushing it, towards the ocean, towards the city of Malibu. The entire city of Malibu now under a mandatory evacuation. This whole area south of the 101 freeway is under a mandatory evacuation. I'll send it back to you in the studio.
All right, Eric, thank you very much for that. Eric was standing right near the 101 freeway. We watched earlier as the CHP moved through to shut it down. Ginger Chan watching all the traffic situations there along the 101 and in Malibu, where the city is under mandatory evacuation.
And you know, it's incredible because when we were checking with Eric before the closures actually went into place along the 101 freeway where he is, we saw so many cars that were going the wrong way. That was an hour ago. Within the last 10 minutes, people have still been driving on the 101 freeway. They get to about Parkway Calabasas, they realize it's closed, and within the last 10 minutes, they are still going the wrong way on the 101 freeway because of the closure and trying to turn back around again. So the 101 freeway, let's just make it clear that northbound side heading up towards Thousand Oaks is closed at about Valley Circle, okay? But people are getting on before that. And like I said, specifically at Parkway Calabasas is where we're hearing people are exiting the wrong way, U-turning, going the wrong way. And the CHP is reporting as many as maybe 100 cars doing that, even though the closure is in place. And then coming south, right at about Reyes Adobe Road, we talked about how PCH at Coastline Drive, that the signals are out because of the fire. The other thing that I want to mention to everybody is I'm still up on my Twitter page, KTLA Ginger Chan. You want something specific? A lot of people are asking me specific questions about their commute. I'm here for you. I'm responding to them, looking everything up, and really I'm erring on the side of caution, okay? Because the other thing is we saw this move from the 101 north at the 23. That is now open for everybody, okay? Southbound side is still closed at about Lewis Road, but at least for the immediate commute for our friends who are traveling through Calabasas, the Hidden Hills, Woodland Hills, West Hills, that closure again on that northbound side is at Valley Circle, and then the 23 is open and available. Now, in terms of the 118 as an alternate, everything is open there. We talked about how there was this fire on the eastbound side of Yosemite Avenue that closed the off-ramp, they reopened it, and then within the last few minutes, there's a brand new fire that is now starting to develop there. I would not anticipate a full closure there. Nevertheless, that is the discussion about a fire along the 118, and we talk about that because a lot of people are utilizing that. PCH still available, but that will get really crowded for a lot of people as we get deeper into the morning commute. Let's just show you that Caltrans camera. You see the split screen to the right, so that camera shows us the drive on the both directions of the 101 at Palo Camado, and you can see, I mean, that almost looks like fog, you guys, but obviously that is smoke. You don't see any cars here. That's because everything is closed, and the reason we want to make sure we get the word out, because we certainly don't want anybody to get caught up in cars going the wrong way and U-turning and trying to get away from the closures, as we've seen this morning, and that is still happening as we speak. I'll send it back to you, Justin Frank. You're right, Ginger. That's the most important thing. If folks evacuate in certain areas this morning, they don't want to get stuck or get caught going the wrong way and end up in trouble. Warren Lister is in Simi Valley, which has been considered the backside of this fire. But Warren, we're hearing that things are starting to pick up in that area as well. What can you tell us?
Well, take a look. Right over here, these flames, as you can see, are burning a little bit closer to homes than we've seen and a little bit more furiously. Homes right here to the right, neighborhoods, and you can see that people that live here, they've got the sprinklers going, they've got the hoses going. Hi, sir, you doing okay? You're gonna stay this? How you feeling? That's pretty close. Staying put? Okay, it's okay. Thank you so much. They can't hear me, but oh hey guys. So what I want to show you, fire crews have just arrived. We just saw them arrive. These are the first fire crews we've seen on this side of the fire, on the ground where we are at least, which is right by the Wood Ranch community, which is under voluntary evacuation. And they appeared the concern. There is a home up there. I want to keep walking if we can, Thomas. Give you a better view. You can see neighbors have been out all morning long monitoring this fire. Can we talk to you, sir? What are you thinking? You live here, I'm presuming. And what are you thinking? This is getting kind of close.
It is, but the wind is blowing the other direction, so it's actually a good thing because it'll take all this big brush out of here, and it won't be a burn factor if the wind changes. So actually, it's a good thing for the area.
And
on the other side, they've got a problem.
Right, and now this is a dirt road, a service road, but also kind of a natural break, I would imagine, in the fuel when it comes to a fire, getting close to these homes.
When it comes down here, it is. The houses that are up in here, at the end of Sunset Hills Boulevard and that, down in the Lang Ranch, that's really the concern.
And that seems to be fire crews' concerns now that they've just pulled up. These are the first firefighters I've seen on this side of the fire. Is that the same experience you've had, or have you seen fire crews out here overnight?
We've been out here all night, and this is the first crew.
Okay, let's go walk a little further. Thank you, sir. What was your name? I didn't catch it.
Paul Steele.
Paul Steele. Paul, thank you so much. We wish you the best. When will you leave? Are you packed up?
We packed up, but we didn't go anywhere.
Yeah. At what point will you? Mandatory evacuation, or if this gets...
Mandatory for sure, but if the wind changes, then everything is going to change because it'll come back all through here. So.
And the wind is not too strong, but it has picked up a bit in, I would say, even the last hour.
Yeah, it's always kind of windy up here at the top of the hill, though, so it'll just depend. It's supposed to stop this afternoon, and then if it comes back on shore, then we'll have a problem.
Well, thank you so much. Following the opposite direction of the homes, and here is this fire crew who's here, Vandenberg Fire, and what I have been told by Simi Valley Police, which we have seen out here, they told us that fire authorities have been monitoring these flames all night long by air, and they've had strike teams on standby, presumably for exactly this kind of situation. So beyond that black smoke, we did see at least one home. So now you can see these crews are out here working. They're not putting fire on it. They're digging line, it appears, and working to make sure that this doesn't get out of control and doesn't threaten homes. I think it's fair to presume. We can't hear you guys anymore. We're a little far from where we can. So we're going to watch this, and we're going to send it back to you for now in the studio, Jess and Frank. And just to remind our viewers, so this is the Simi Valley side of things, north of the 101, north of Thousand Oaks. This is the Wood Ranch community that we're just next to, which is under voluntary evacuation. They received that evacuation warning or the voluntary order at about 3:30 this morning on their cell phones, they tell me. Right now the wind is blowing the opposite direction of the homes, but it's burning down the hill, and it's been picking up, as has the wind. So we'll be watching this, and we'll send it back to you.
Okay, Lauren, thank you for that. And we're just looking at some of the fuel there. Mark was remarking about the fact that it is so dry, and the firefighters have talked about it, the possibility of explosive growth, and we've seen that the exponential growth of the fire overnight. This is the Malibu Lake area, which is so south of the 101, burning in the direction in the hills toward Malibu itself, where Malibu itself is now under evacuation orders. It is an astonishing number when you talk about how many people are under evacuation orders. We're talking about, it was 75,000 before Malibu.
Right.
And
Right.
so I don't know what the total number is going to be, but we're talking about tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of folks under evacuation orders.
And that's what we're looking at here. This map is giving you an indicator just how large of an area is under mandatory evacuations. All of these people, some have already been told overnight into the early morning hours, and as Frank just mentioned, Malibu just a short time ago, saying everybody in the city of Malibu is under a mandatory evacuation. So there's different groups that are trying to help with that. Airbnb just mentioned this, that they're working to open homes to evacuees of the Hill and Woolsey fires. Many Airbnb hosts, they've listed their homes for free stays. So the free housing is being offered to any of you displaced residents, also to relief workers that are deployed to these fires. The homes are going to remain open for this program all the way until November 29th. So you can sign up for this free housing or to host.
Your child is born, a joyful sight to see, with dreams of hope and
First, this house is coming apart. It's we've seen several portions of this home come down, and we are just waiting to see the rest of it go. And then if we pan up into the
and we can run through some of those. Orchard Community Center in Newberry Park, Rancho Santa Susana Community Center in Simi Valley, Camarillo Community Center in Camarillo, Thousand Oaks Teen Center in Thousand Oaks. As you know, yesterday it was the Reunification Center for families awaiting word in the Borderline Bar and Grill shooting. Hard to believe that was yesterday in Ventura County as well. The Gabel Senior Adult Center in Thousand Oaks, Taft High School in Woodland Hills, and then Pierce College in Woodland Hills is frequently a place where you can take large animals.
Yeah, and just looking at this image here, LA Ventura County line, the brush. And it's that awful cycle that we get into here in Southern California where it's so dry, we're in a drought, and then there's a season of some rain, and then things grow back and then dry out again. And it burns because it hasn't burned in a while. And that's the unfortunate part of what we're seeing here is that thick, dry brush.
7:48. We have our team out there on the lines. Mark Kono and Sky 5 HD, Ginger Chan in our traffic center, Mark Krisky on the weather. We're going to come back with our continuing coverage in just a moment.
I served from 1964 to 1968 in the U.S. Navy. I was proud to serve my country. I was honored.
This Veterans Day, Ralph's is proud to honor all of our associate veterans.
I served from 1964 to 1968 in the U.S. Navy. I was proud to serve my country. I was honored.
This Veterans Day, Ralph's is proud to honor all of our associate veterans.
really hard to kind of see the landscape behind this community right here of what look like townhomes. Where are they individual homes? It's kind of hard to tell, but they all look like a uniform style or architecture. But we're just standing and waiting right now to see what happens.
And the wind, we have noticed, has been kind of intermittent, but during your last hit, it did seem to kick up a little bit more. What are you feeling right now in terms of how the winds are?
Here's the latest on the Woolsey Fire.
Well, the wind is blowing directly at us now. We are in the path of that wind. At times it'll pick up a little. It seemed a little worse earlier, but it is still blowing. I mean, you could probably see the smoke blowing in front of some of the headlights here. It's not.
Today we're here to talk about
maybe 15, 20 miles per hour now.
What truck brand comes from the family of the most dependable?
I wonder if these folks would talk to you. Do you think they might want to talk to us?
Ford. It's not Ford. I think it's Ram. It's not Ram either. It's Chevy.
Gorgeous.
Get a total value of $11,000 when you finance with GM Financial. That's over 20% below MSRP on this Chevy Silverado.
Find new roads at your Southern California Chevy dealers.
Yeah, it's become multiple houses now. Let's show you a couple of things. First, this house is coming apart. It's we've seen several portions of this home come down, and we are just waiting to see the rest of it go. And then if we pan up into the air, you can see what we were so worried about. This is just shooting embers high up into the air, and they are being carried on the breeze. We're going to take a little walk now here. We came up to get a better view of the hill, but it put us on the top of a hillside, and it brought us up to this basically just a hellscape looking to the west. This is across Los Virgenes Road, and you see another home on fire, what's left of it, and it looks like a couple trees are going up. In the distance, there is what's left of the framework of another house. That was going up about 10 minutes ago, entirely engulfed. It is now nothing but a small frame left on a square of flame. If we pan to the right, further to the north, you can see more flames. And if we go even further to the north, there is a bright orange and red flame just eating up that hillside. Still more dry fuel that hasn't burned in so long, and it just goes up so quickly. Really quickly, Bill, let's go down to the road here. We can see one more utility truck about to make its way gone out of our frame. There were several of them here before because I think the power lines, we saw some of the power poles go up in flames, and we saw them aiming their spotlights, training them on the power lines above there, making sure that they did not come down. Again, we believe the power is off to those lines, but should they go up in flames, it's going to have even more damage once everything is done. So they try and put those out as quickly as they can. But one more look here. It is just, it's not good. It doesn't seem to be slowing down, at least in this portion. Several homes lost. It looks like as we look through the trees here, there might be another home that was gone, another one further to the south here. And so this area has just been so badly hit. Several homes are complete losses, down to the framework and the foundation. And again, we still have this home burning behind us, the largest that we have seen at the top of this hill. Continues to burn. I don't know if you can hear some of the pops. We've heard several explosions come out of there, and you just hear sounds of collapse. Walls coming down, some of the textiles are basically melting off this house. You see normal flames, they work their way up. We're seeing glowing, almost liquid fire dropping off of this house. So some of the plastics and some of the man-made materials that are on the home are just melting and making things even worse. Not sure how long this structure is going to be upright before it just becomes a pile of rubble that's on fire. But again, one of these several homes is a total loss, and we're keeping an eye on the other homes on this complex as these embers and ashes continue to fall.
Fire that has kind of crept up on the 101 freeway here. Now this is a little bit farther north, about maybe a quarter to a half mile north of Malibu Lake. This was that ranch.
I was just talking with a woman who says she's a real estate agent in this area. She says this is her home right off to the left over here. So she's the one in the white car over here. She's keeping an eye on her home, ready to go should anything happen. I asked her why stick around. She said if her home's going to go up, she wants to watch it. She doesn't want to be somewhere else wondering, is my house going to burn? Is my house going to burn? So she can at least monitor it. But I don't know the name. She said this is West